Now let's talk about the types of data in this short video. All data can be categorized into two broad categories. One is called a categorical variable, the other one is called quantitative variable. For the categorical variable, it's not difficult to recognize. If a variable takes values like names, labels, then it is categorical variable. For instance, color. If you go to a classroom, you're going to see different colors. For instance, you see the whiteboard, and you see some dark colors, which is black color, and you see some yellow chair, and so on and so forth, right? These are the names of categories: white, blue, and yellow, and so on and so forth. So this would be a categorical data. Quantitative data is you will see numbers. The result will be numbers. And for instance, the distance. If you look at the distance from your home to the school and say 3 miles, it gotta be, your answer will be a number. So that's the quantitative variable. However, I would like to make a note. Sometimes, like back to this categorical data, color, we don't have to use white to this W to represent white. You can actually use a number 1 to represent white, right? And for the black, you don't have to use a B, or you can use a number. You don't have to use 2. You can use 3 if you want to. For the yellow, if you want to, you can use 10. Really up to you. When you code these variables, the results. For instance, if you tell me you see a 10, then I know, hey, you're seeing a yellow color object. If you tell me that you see 1, then I know you're seeing a white object. So that's the way you can code it. Now, this time, the color, they are coded in numbers. Will it change color to quantitative variable? Of course, it will not. The reason is these numbers 1, 3, and 10, they look like number, but they don't have numerical meanings. You cannot say 10 is 9 more than 1. Yellow is not 9 more than white, right? So there are numbers, but they don't have numerical meaning. So be careful with that. For quantitative variable, you can further categorize into two smaller categories. One is called discrete, the other one is called continuous. Now for discrete variable, if you can count using your fingers, then it must be discrete. So because your fingers are separated, they're discrete, right? So if you can count, it gotta be discrete. For instance, number of coins in your pocket. You can count using your fingers how many coins you have. Now, continuous is on the other hand, you cannot count, so uncountable. It gotta be measured. For instance, the distance. From your home to the school, can you use your fingers to count the distance? Probably not. You have to use some instruments, some gauge, to get the distance. So this is how we further categorize quantitative variable. Let's do some exercise. First one is the age. So suppose you give a survey and you collect some the age from respondents. So you have a whole bunch of ages. They are all in years. Now, because some people may tell you, hey, I'm 18 years and 6 months, which is 18.5, and some people may tell you I'm 20.1, so 20 years old and plus 1.5 months, and so on and so forth. So now ages is this time, just think about this. Are you growing? Is your age growing every second, every minute? It's continuous growing, right? So you're gonna use say this is quantitative and it will be continuous. Some people may argue that what about sometimes people just tell me the integer as an answer, like 18, 19, 20, and so on and so forth. In this case, yes, if you restrict the respondents to only use integers as the answer, it can be discrete in this case, okay? Because you really can count, right? So this is a little tricky. Depends on how you collect the numbers, how the numbers results can be. You can argue it's continuous or discrete. Now the second one, these are the numbers shown on the shirt of LA Lakers. So 24 means the number 24 the player, and these are the numbers that representing players. They don't have numerical meaning. You cannot say player 28 is 4 more than 24. So these are categorical. And the next one is the amount of milk a cow may yield. Now the amount of milk, certainly it will be a number. How many ounces, how many liters, right? So in this case, it's going to be quantitative. And you really cannot use your fingers to figure out how many ounces. You have to use some container to measure the amount. So it's continuous. It is measured. The number of eggs a hen will lay, this will be countable. You can use your fingers to count, and it's quantitative and it's discrete. Rainfall. Rainfall is you have to measure the rainfall, so it's going to be quantitative and continuous. Zip code, for instance, 68025. This represents Fremont, which is a location. It doesn't have numerical meaning, so it's a categorical. The last one, the weight. If you categorize into underweight and normal, overweight, obese, these from the categories we already see the names. There's no number, so we know this is categorical. Hopefully, this short video help you understand how we categorize data into two broad types.